Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had a quick little lunch or a snack and you're back at it. Thanks for joining us. Got 12 people waiting in the waiting room. I'm going to let them in. All right, so welcome everybody. We are talking about defense. So we have worked on defensive drills all throughout positional training. I know that we focused on it in the fall. And so let's knock out the defense session. After that, we will go into base running and then it'll be hot stones. So here we go. All right, BAM, defense, relays, cutoffs, minimizing extra bases. This is what it's all about. You know, the less runs that are scored at home, the more chances we have of winning the game. So how do we minimize big innings? By being in the correct position to keep runners from advancing. So here we go. All right, the ball is not hit to me. Why do I need to move? All right, well, this is a simple one. Backups are never praised, but often needed. And my saying is you always have somewhere to be on every play. There is never a time where players should be standing still. It just should not happen in this game. And everybody should always be moving on every play. So a team with all players moving is also intimidating to the opponent. Holding runners from advancing can save free bases, which can change the outcome of the game. Stealing outs can occur if we are, as defenders, positioned correctly. My 16U signature team, they are so good at stealing outs just because we're always paying attention. We are always thinking next play. You know, if one thing doesn't work out the way we thought it was going to defensively, we can create outs, and we have done it a lot. And it's got us in a position to be able to win games. So you know, play's never over until it's over. Ball's in the circle in the pitcher's hand. All right, so goals of mental defense. All right, we need to know what to do with the ball before the ball's ever hit to us. We as coaches cannot tell every player on the field, you know, 9 different things about where you are going with the ball in left field, where you at shortstop are going with the ball if it's hit to you, where you as the pitcher, if the ball's hit to you, what are you doing with the ball? Everybody has a different scenario. Everybody needs to know their own scenario before the ball ever comes to them. And this is every single pitch. Not every play, not every batter. This is every single pitch. You need to know where you're going with the ball before it hits to you, or before it's hit to you. The prep step. We are moving. We are not flat-footed. We are moving before the ball's ever hit to us. Anyway, it takes time to make decisions, and it is always obvious when a player gets the ball hit to them and they don't know where to go with it. There is always a hesitation, and that causes a delay. And that one single step of not knowing what to do is the difference between them scoring a run or not, or taking advantage of bases or not. So don't hesitate with throws, get rid of the ball. Confidently communicate and execute all relays, cutoff situations. And that starts with the quarterback communicating, the quarterback being the catcher, communicating, you know, where the play needs to go. All right. Ways to mentally fail defensively. Poor attitudes. We just focused on that in the last session. Being upset in an at bat where maybe you struck out or didn't get the result that you wanted. Poor communication, poor knowledge, not knowing the situation, not being prepared for the situation, not knowing bunt coverages, defensive situations, first and thirds, because you've missed practices or whatever the case. So, not knowing how to read the calling card, if a coach calls a certain color or number, and that is a play that's being indicated and you don't know how to read it, but you've never communicated that with anybody. All those things are, ways that we can fail mentally on the field, and then just poor execution of the play. Knowing situations sometimes isn't enough if we cannot execute the play, make the catch, make the throw, hit your relay, hit your cuts, all those things. All right, so goals of mental defense. Nope. That's literally the same slide. Okay, proper defensive pre-play communication. Okay, again, everything starts with the captain. Captain, the catcher, should come out, not the captain, the quarterback. Captain's not the right word, but the quarterback should come out in front of the plate, demand attention on the field. Everybody should be listening to that information, and then that information gets relayed. The information then goes to the shortstop. The shortstop relays that information to its infielders. The shortstop turns around, gives that information to the center fielder, and the center fielder then relays the information to its outfielders, right field, left field. So, the catcher is responsible for communicating to the pitcher and the infielders. You got to know where the base runners are. You got to know information about the hitter, where you're at in the lineup, and make sure that your infielders are positioned in the right place for the situation. You need to be aware of game situations and be able to communicate bunt rotations, first and third plays, potential plays at the plate. You've got to know the score, if that runner on second base is the tying run and the girl at the plate is the winning run. You need to know that. Everybody needs to be on the same page in that regard. So anyway, here we go. Shortstop, responsible again for communicating to, third base, second base, center field. And the only way center field can hear the information that needs to be relayed to them is by the shortstop physically turning around, 2 outs, outfield, you get the ball, you're coming home, runner on second, 1 out, whatever the situation. All of that needs to be relayed and translated, from shortstop to center field, and then center field to the to right field and left field. But as far as, again, test question, the captain of the infield is the shortstop. The captain of the infield is the shortstop. All right. Center fielder, you are responsible for relaying the information to the outfield. We just went through that. Balls on the ground, balls in the air. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going. All that information. Okay. In-play communication, fly ball communication, outfielders, mine, infielders, ball. And then the structure of that, why we do that. If an outfielder and an infielder are going for the same ball and the infielder hears mine, then immediately that infielder needs to bail and get out of the way, because that ball is the outfielder's. The outfielder has the better perspective on catching that ball because they are coming in on the play and the outfielders are going back. It is easier to go in than it is to come back on a ball. So anyway, that's the situation there. And then this is also multiple test questions on this. But fly ball, order of precedent. If center fielder calls the ball, center fielder gets the ball. Okay. Center fielder has number one priority over any ball that is in the air. Okay. If a left fielder or right fielder calls off an infielder, they have precedent over that infielder. If the center fielder should call off the left fielder, who has precedent on the ball? The center fielder better catch that ball. If center field calls off right field, center field gets the ball. If right field calls off center field and center field never called the ball, then right field gets the ball. I hope you understand that, okay? This is stuff that you should work on all the time at practice, over and over and over and over and over until nobody even has to think about it. Everybody just knows. So center fielder, number one priority over catching a fly ball. Then it goes to the other outfielders, left field, right field. And then as far as infielders go, shortstop has priority over all the other players in the infield to catch a fly ball. Then it's second base. So you go from center field to your other outfielders to your middle infielders, shortstop, then second base, and then your corners, and then your catcher. And the last person that we want catching a fly ball ever is the pitcher. And why do you think that is? Well, a few things. Number one, pitcher's coming off the mound, they're in motion, and then all of a sudden the ball's up in the air and they might have to go back and they can fall in the divot that they've created. The mound is in bad shape. They've got a mound that they could trip over. There's all kinds of reasons, okay? But a pitcher, if the ball is hit right to the pitcher in the air, then the pitcher just needs to call the ball and catch the ball. Okay. I'm not saying that pitcher should never catch a fly ball. You should field your position always. But if it is too difficult for other people to come in and catch that ball, other infielders to come in and catch that ball, then you need to catch the ball. Don't just step out of the way when the ball is hit inside the circle in the air and you just step out of the way and assume everybody else is coming to get it, because sometimes that doesn't happen. It depends on the depth of your fielders and all that stuff. So super important to know the fly ball order of precedent. Double play communication, flip, 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 throw, throw, throw. We've worked on this and worked on this and worked on this, and you should all know that. If you ever came to a positional training this winter, you should know that. Flip, 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 throw, throw, throw. That is the communication with our middle infielders. First base and pitcher, or first base and second base. I've got bag, cover, 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 whatever the situation. If the first baseman comes after a ball and second's covering, I got bag, I got bag. All of that super important communication. Pitchers should always be sprinting to cover first base if first base makes a call on the ball, or vice versa, second base. Pitchers typically do that in baseball. Sometimes our pitchers can do it depending on the speed of the runner, the location of the ball, but a lot of times our second baseman will be there to cover that bag. Catcher and pitcher should communicate pre-pitch on the catcher backing up. If there's double plays, if the catcher is backing up, pitcher is responsible for covering the plate. If there's a wild pitch, a pass ball, pitcher needs to be there, all of that information. But everything needs to be communicated on what is expected prior to the play taking place. All right, cutoffs, relays, catcher, shortstop, third base. Those are typically your cutoffs. In our situation in softball, we don't use third base nearly as much as we use our shortstop for the left field cutoff, and we use second base for right field cutoffs. So communication needs to be clear and concise. Left 2, right 1. Good. There. Cut, cut, cut. If you don't hear any words from the relay or any words from the catcher or any words from your shortstop or your, well, it'd be from the catcher. If you don't hear anything, then there should not be a cut. Okay. When there are no cuts, we work on the bluffs. That's when we implement, where we're coming in and we're trying to make that base runner hesitate long enough for a pause so that they don't advance to the next base. Okay. So again, even if you're not involved in the relay and you're actually going to receive the ball, you're in line for it, but you're not cutting the ball, you still have a job to do with a bluff or a fake. If we say cut, if you hear the catcher say cut, that means cut and hold. But if you hear them say cut, followed by cut 2, then they're cutting the ball going to second base. Cut 3, cutting the ball going to third. Cut 4, cutting the ball going home. Okay. If you hear any of that, that's the situation there. All right. Factors that influence where to throw the ball, where to line up cutoffs. Okay. The number of outs, the base runners, the score, the inning, the runner's speed, the direction of the ball, and the speed of the ball. Okay. All of these, again, test questions right here, but factors that influence where to throw the ball and where to line up cutoffs, the outs. Breaking down each factor, knowing the number of outs. Primary goal, always get the lead runner. Secondary goal, get an out, but must maximize big innings. All right. If we have, that's with 0 outs. If we have 1 out, primary goal, get that lead runner. Secondary goal, get an out. Again, maximize big innings. If we have 2 outs, primary goal is to get an out, get out of the inning. Secondary goal would be no runs, must dive to knock ball down in the infield, and hold the runners so nobody scores. And then no doubles, corners guard the line. When you hear somebody say no doubles, a coach say no doubles, corners, you are on the line when that happens. And then outfield gives them a step. Okay, we're keeping the ball in front of us. This keeps the opposition 3 hits away from scoring instead of 2. All right, base runners. Knowing the base runners, concede 1 base to base runners per base earned on a hit. Okay, we don't want to give extra bases. That's what we're saying. If it needs to be a single, then it stays a single. It doesn't turn into a double. If we set up relays based on hit type, it's +1 base. So if a runner's at first base, we're thinking, 1 base ahead on an infield play, but in the outfield, we're thinking 2 bases ahead. So if a runner's at first base and, there's 1 out, then we may, balls hit to right field, that right fielder needs to come up and fire the ball to third. So we do this because we concede 1 base on a single and we don't allow extra bases to advance. Okay, so if the ball's hit deep or in a gap, we may require a double cut to get it to home. So if this is the case, then depending on what your team does and how you structure it, you can use your pitcher as the second cut. You can use your first baseman as the second cut. There's not going to be, if the ball's hit in a gap or deep, there's not going to be a play at first base. So more than likely there should not be a play at first base. And so, we like to involve our first baseman to come towards the circle because the pitcher in that situation becomes a backup, either at third base or behind home. The inning, how this is affected, the inning, early innings are considered to be innings 1 through 4. In our case, I would say 1 through 3 would be considered early innings. Late innings, because not all of our games are 5 or 7 or 6 inning games, because we play a lot of times on time limits. But late innings would be considered, 4 through 7. Okay, why concede a run when down 2 or more runs? This is an important factor that we as coaches definitely need to know, and it's good for players to understand this. But on average, a scoring inning leads to 2 1/3 run in that inning. In other words, if you can score in an inning, your chance of scoring 3 runs instead of 2 runs is only 14% difference. By moving fielders to eliminate the run, meaning adjusting, crowding the line, whatever the situation, moving infielders back, things like that. But by moving fielders to eliminate a run, the percentage chance of giving up multiple runs in that inning increases by 33%. Okay. So okay, softball's a game of numbers. Our job is to play the odds and maximize our percentage chance to win the game by increasing our chances in each individual situation that we face. So again, runner speed, that determines where we go with the ball, how we play the ball, the situation, all of those things. Determine the speed of the runner determines the depth that our infield will play. It will also, for example, do what you can to replace fast runners with slow runners on the bases. So a pop up to shortstop with a slow runner hitting and fast runner on first, we could allow the ball to drop and force, obviously this is not an infield fly situation, but we could let the ball drop and then force an out at second base. I mean, that's using our heads and being smart about, situationally aware. But use the runner speed to help determine what base to cut, to line up, all of those things. Again, we could have balls hit to the fence. We could have 2 cuts involved, 1 cut involved. We could have or 4 people in the relay line or 3 people in the relay line, but we need to know exactly where to go and what to do with that ball based on the speed of the runners. The direction of the ball, as far as the average runner, an average speed runner on second base, and a runner on first base and hitting. So 1 out in the inning and a ground ball to shortstop in the 5th hole, take the force at third base. Okay. So again, just knowing what to do with the ball based on the situation, but the direction of the ball, we don't want to go across the field if there's a play right here in front of us. But if there's a slow runner that's going from second to third and the ball's hit to first, it might make sense to go across the field and get that lead runner and then potentially, still have time to turn the play back to 1. So just knowing those things is important. And then the ball speed. So fastball speed leaves more time to set up and make a throw. A slow ball, we got to charge it. We got to come attack the ball. It takes a little bit more time to make that throw. And we'll determine where we need to go with the ball. All right, so relays, cutoffs, nobody on base or a runner on third what do we do? So runner on third, single to left. Everybody take out a pen and paper, and we're gonna talk about these. And you guys can write down your answers, what you think that it is, and then send these to your coaches, just so they know that you've been paying attention. But runner on third, single to left. Where are we going with the ball? Okay, single to center. What do we do with the ball? Runner on third. Okay, again, all these things, what matters is all the things that we talked about: speed of the runner, arm, the ability of the center fielder or the left fielder to, make that throw. Can we get an out at home? Is there even a possibility? If it's a single, chances are that runner at third's already going to score. So then we're thinking, okay, we're going to keep it a single and not let it turn into a double. So if it's a single to left, runner on third, then that runner at third already scores. We need to go to second. Same thing. If there's a single at center, we need to go to second. Single to right, if there's a chance to get that runner out, the batter out at first base, by all means, try to get that batter out. If there's a fly ball, out to left field, center field, right field, that runner at third, if there's less than 2 outs, has to tag up. So now we've got more time, right? So we've got more time to make the play at home and try to get that out. If the ball is to the fence or in the gaps and there's a runner at third, now we're trying to keep that batter at a double. We don't want, more than a double. So, we're thinking second, third, keep the ball in front of her. Again, runner on second and third with bases loaded. What do? Go through all these scenarios: single to left, single to center, single to right. What are we doing in each of these situations? Bases loaded. Where are the cutoffs? How are we lining everybody up? Where are your backups? All of this is stuff that needs to be covered in practices. And again, it just needs to be done frequently and often and correctly. And then during the game, when it happens, nobody even has to think about it. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Everybody's in position. Everybody knows what to do with the ball before it's hit to them. So, same situation, nobody on base. How are we going to do this? Runner on first. What are we going to do? Runner on second, first and second. Go through all these scenarios. Coaches, this is something that you need to do at your practices. Run through these scenarios, have base runners, partner with, have a joint practice with another FAM team and, run these scenarios, run these situations, have one team be the base runners and the other team, be on defense. But, we all need to know and be prepared for each of these situations. Okay, prep step positioning. You guys all know this. We land when there's contact or what should be contact with the ball. But middles and outfielders stay higher in their stance because they need to fan out more. They need to have better range. And then your corners, they get lower. And they don't have to be as mobile. All right. Ball comes quick. It's hot corners. All right. So they need to have more vertical range than they do lateral range. You still got to be able to cover the line. You still got to be able to, make those dives, all those things. All right. So this is a spray chart. This one here on the left, this one right here, that is more the distance that a corner would need to play, the range. And then you can see here as a shortstop or a middle infielder, what, how wide the range needs to be. And then what needs to happen at each, position, what we need to be able to do with the ball. We've gone through all of these things at our positional trainings. We've gone through the relays, we've gone through the flips and the throws and the sidearms and, the proper footwork for fielding, throwing slots, being a good target. We've talked about, stretching and making tags, all those things, which we have worked on. Okay, so, all right, so session recap and application. Let's do number 3 here. If the shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder call for a ball, who should catch it? Everybody write their answer down and share it with your coach. If a shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder all call for the ball, who should catch it? Write the answer down and send it to your coach. Okay, number 4. How do our infielders call for a ball, a fly ball? And then how do our outfielders call for a fly ball? So answer those questions and send them to your coach as well. Okay, for our more advanced players, answer this question, number 6. We're up by 1. We're late in the game, 6th or 7th inning. There's a runner on second base, and there are 2 outs. The 7-hole hitter is up. Where should our outfield be playing? Not where should we throw the ball, but where should we be playing? We're up by 1, late in the game, runners on second, and there's 2 outs. We've got a 7-hole hitter in the box. Where are my outfielders playing? So anybody that's 12U and up, I want you to answer this question. If you're 8 and 10 and want to answer it, give it a shot. Coaches, make sure that you respond to your players and let them know that they've got the correct answers, or correct their answers for them and explain why that is the case. Okay, next we've got base running up, and so we are gonna be back on here in about 1 minute.